Oh, I always wondered what it felt like to be a rock star. That is really cool. Boy, it's a huge room. This is great. These lights up here are really bright, so I'm trying to see you folks. And you have no idea what it's like to see a 14-foot size picture of yourself next to the stage. Okay, that was an incredible introduction by Rich. I really appreciate that. Rich and I have spent so many times talking on the phone, like at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, trying to figure out these the ways to take launches to the next level. And he's been very helpful for me, and working with him and his launches has been just fantastic. I'm going to flip forward a little bit to the first slide here. We got that up. So I want to talk about product launch formula and the Pony Express. Because my brother's here with me. My brother's my partner in my business. He's right in the middle here, John Walker. John, stand up. And we've been holed up. We have a major promotion launch coming up that we're working on. A major project. We're working on that thing. And we've just been sitting up in our hotel room, like getting room service for the last 3 days and like never seeing the light of day. And working back and forth, and I had to get like a file or a link to John, so I emailed it over to him. And John's using one of those deals where you actually log into your desktop back at home, that log me in stuff. So for whatever reason, it took him like 3 or 4 minutes to get this email when I sent it to him. I wanted him to get this link and do something with it. And I was just about to tear my hair out waiting for that 3 or 4 minutes. And it just got me reflecting on, I remember when I was a kid reading about the Pony Express. And the Pony Express was like the coolest thing in the world there, 150 years ago, because you could get something cross-country in, I don't know, like a week or something. And that was like really, really cool. And then instantly, that Pony Express was completely put out of business when I think it was the telegraph and the railroad, when they invented that, and it just, the Pony Express had this 10-year or 7-year or 8, really short window where it was like the way to communicate. And then, the technology evolved. And now you look at what we take for granted, it's just unbelievable what's happening now in the speed of communication, the speed of productivity, the ability to get things done. So let me just go forward here, because I want to tell you about a couple business launches. And these are actually launches that I did personally of me and my businesses. I wanted 2 businesses I've personally launched, to put food on the table for my family. And the first one, I did about $1,600 in revenue on the first day. And back then, that was all it took to, I'm going to give you a quick version of a story. My family, we didn't have, I had 2 young kids and we were a struggling family. I did a budget and we had $400 total disposable income for the entire year. I mean, it was tight. Like whether we, little kids, whether we use disposable diapers, this is a terrible image I'm giving you, but disposable diapers versus cloth diapers was like an economic decision for us, because the $10 a week for disposable diapers was a lot of money. Terrible image. I don't know why I couldn't come up with something better for you guys. In any case, that $1,600 was just huge for me, and I spent about 6 months building up to that launch. And when I did it, it was like, that was enough to see where the future was. And this is actually an internet business, and this is late 96, early 97. Now, fast forward several years, and then I continued to run that business for a long time. And then I turned around, and in 2005, I launched a new business using all these product launch techniques I developed in the first business. And the second time around, I had the first day in revenue was about $289,000. And that was really cool, because that first business, it didn't end in the most elegant fashion. It ended, I got a phone call one day and I learned my business was ending. And it was just literally, I picked up the phone, I had a business, put down the phone, I didn't have a business. So when I restarted the second business, and I can't tell you why, due to legal agreements, I will say that it wasn't anything nefarious. I didn't get shut down by the FCC or the SEC or the FTC or any of those 3-letter things. But I lost that first business, so the second time around, coming out with $289,000 on that first day was really, really cool. Now, I want to break that down a little different way. The first time, the first year was a total of $19,000, 289. You can see it. The second time around with product launch formula, using those product launch formula techniques, I got to 1.3 million in the first year. It took me 6 years that first time around to get them to $1 million in revenue. 6 years. The second time around, it took me 6 months. I mean, that's the difference between that Pony Express and the Telegraph, right? And in fact, I was thinking back, anyone seen The Big Lebowski? And you remember, so this is a movie. It came out, I think, in the mid-late 90s. And one of the things they were carrying around was this phone, like a cell phone. And it was like the size of half a briefcase. You remember those things? They have the handle on them and this thing like that. And I mean, and so that was like the cool thing. Like they were driving around in limos with this thing. And then, you know, of course, you know where we went. Then we got these cell phones. You know, this is my cell phone. And, you know, this is only, you know, it only took from The Big Lebowski to this thing, you know, I don't know, 5 years. You know, way cooler. Now, like 2 nights ago, I was sitting around with dinner with a bunch of buddies, and I pulled this thing out, and they were like laughing at this archaic phone because like they all had their iPhones and their Blackberries, and they were like surfing the web and pulling up Google Maps. And it's the same thing. It's these quantum leaps. It's like version, you know, 1.0. What, you know, here's 1.0, and the iPhone's version 2.0. So you know, I went from the first one not figuring out to product launch formula 6 months to get to $1 million. Now, last summer in 2007, I helped someone launch a business. It's a brand new business for them, and it took them 6 days to get to $1 million. Now, I took a little poetic license here. It didn't actually take 6 days. I just wanted to keep that 666 going. It really took about 4.5 days, but is it okay if I round that up to 6 just to make it look good? You guys okay with that? Okay. Then just last month, we took the lessons. These are always cumulative lessons, right? You're always learning more and more. So where did we go from 6 days? You guys are on it. You guys are on it. But I again took that poetic license. Is that okay if it only took us 5 hours to get to $1 million? So this is where it's going. It keeps on getting faster and faster and faster. And that's because we keep on learning new stuff. The speed of communication, the speed of interaction keeps on increasing. Now, can I ask, how many people here own product launch formula? Holy cow. Oh my goodness gracious. So 30, 40% of you? How many of you have, you know, we're going to need a mic at some point because I just saw someone with a really good story. So not right now, but we're going to need a mic at some point. And how many people have seen me speak before? A lot. How many people haven't seen me speak? Okay, so there's a few. So what I want to do is tell you guys about all the new stuff. Not the new stuff, but the new stuff. It's like, it's sort of like the free money. Some of you guys were in the workshop with me a couple days ago, and we were teaching, and I don't want to sound like some get-rich-quick guy, but we were teaching them how to get free money forever. You know, free money wasn't good enough. We wanted to give them free money forever. And the next step, as Frank Kern, who's going to be on this afternoon, says, is free money. In other words, you get paid for cashing checks. You don't just get free checks in the mail, but you actually get paid for cashing them. I'm sorry for the aside. So I'm going to, given the mix here, about half of you guys have seen me before and half of you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to blast through this really, really quick. I'm going to blast through give you the basics of the original product launch formula, and then I want to get to the new stuff. So this gives you instant momentum. That's what we're talking about. Because Rich likes to talk about momentum. Okay, so instant momentum. That's what we're talking about. I mean, a business, what do you need? You need momentum and you need cash flow. You're either growing or you're dying. And you need I put this instant mojo because we're all entrepreneurs. We know what it's like when you have that fire in your belly, when you're building a business, right? When you get that idea and you're really cranking on it. I mean, do you guys know what I'm talking about? When you just really get in, come on, give me a break. Give me a break, come on. Hands up. I mean, when you're just fired up, every one of us, if you haven't had that feeling, I mean, just like, seriously, you're in the wrong room. I mean, if you don't get fired up thinking about a new business, if you don't wake up at 4 in the morning with like a new business in your head and you can't begin to sleep for the next 8 hours until you get down and write that whole thing down, that's what we do. We're entrepreneurs, right? But how about the flip side of that? How about like you've been working at that thing really hard and it seems like there's obstacles and nothing, it's just not breaking through, nothing's going. I mean, have any of you been there? I mean, I'm there all the time. I mean, because when you don't have that momentum, it's a bad place to be. And when you're just starting a business out, you're not sure if this thing's going to work or not, or you're just starting a project out, you don't know if it's going to work, that's a tough place to break through. But what we're talking about with this launch stuff is it's orchestrating the start of your business so you get instant cash flow and instant momentum. You look at what Rich did. How many people learned about Rich through his original Internet Business Manifesto? Okay, a lot of you did. And when Rich put that out, he essentially had no business. He had no business, like he had coached a few people, but he had no real business. The business was him and an assistant and 2 assistants, okay? And if you, basically he brought in $3.5 million in approximately 20 hours or so. And that $3.5 million, he took that and built out an organization. And I mean, built out what we see here with, I don't know how many cameras we've got going on. I mean, if you were to see what's going on behind these curtains, there's more technology back there than you could ever imagine. There's all soundboards and monitors, and in the room across the way, there's more soundboards, or not soundboards here, but monitors. That back, if you ever, took a peek up in the back corner, the technology and the staff they've got putting this thing on is insane. And he went from just, him in his basement with 2 assistants to having this, this 8-figure business, this huge staff, this huge organization based on the momentum from that first product launch, that first $3.5 million. Because when you bring in that kind of money, well, you're all of a sudden this train heading down the tracks at like 200 miles an hour. No one's going to get in your way. It's easy to attract staff. It's easy to attract partnerships. So that's what we're talking. Instant momentum and instant mojo. You get your mojo back once you do a product launch, or that's your original mojo. So it's now been about $103 million, roughly, give or take, since in product launches that either me, my clients, my product launch formula owners have done. And this, I'm only counting the ones over $500,000. And I know I'm throwing a lot of big numbers out at you. And like I said, that first launch of mine of $1,600 completely changed my life. Quick story. I am not an impulsive guy. I plan things out, okay? But there was right around that time when I did that first launch, like I said, our family was struggling. And back then I thought the way you get over that is you go back to school. So I decided I was going to go to graduate school. And I had blown up my career before that, so I had no resume at all. No resume. And like, how am I going to get into grad school? So I started a newsletter, a free newsletter online. I thought if I can get 500 or 600 people on this list, I could put that on my resume and it would look good. And so that's actually how I started my first newsletter. I don't think I've ever shared that publicly, but it was a weird reason. I wasn't even starting a business. I need something to put on my resume. And so I started that out, and I went through this process of trying to get into grad school. Now that I found out is actually sort of tough to do, especially since I had no resume. So I went and took a test, the GMAT test, and I studied for like a month and a half for that thing. And I took that test, and I did okay, so I passed that. And I actually put it on my resume that I've got 600 people subscribed to my newsletter, and they let me in, okay? So this is a big 9 months to get into graduate school. And then I was starting in the winter term, so classes started on, say, January 4th. This is actually 1997. And on January 1st is when I did that $1,400. So I went into the class, and I'm sitting in this as a graduate finance class. So it's fairly dry stuff. And I sit down, there's 100 people in this room, there's a professor up there talking. And, the prof is like, that in the Peanuts, that sound, they make, And I'm sitting there, I'm listening, and I'm looking around. I'm like, thinking about that product launch I just done. And halfway through the lecture, I got up and I walked out. And I never went back to graduate school. It was. Now you realize that in front of my mother, you just applauded me for quitting school. Okay, so anyways, you've probably heard about $1 million launches. Has anyone heard people talk about making millions? I mean, I just talked about $1 million launches. So you hear all this hype, right? It's all, and I know if back in 1996, 1997, 1998, 2000, if you talked to me about $1 million launch, I'd be like, I would not believe you. Here's $1 million. I'd be like, yeah, right. Bullshit. People don't do that. It's like, I mean, that's like, should be on an infomercial, right? Should be on an infomercial at 3 a.m. And then even if I did believe you, I never, ever, ever would have believed that I could do it. Because, I mean, like I said, $1,600 was enough to get me to walk out of school where I'd spent 9 months trying to get there. So we've come a long ways, but now beyond me, I want to stop. Here's one of the folks one of my product launch formula owners, Dr. Andrew Jones. He lives up in British Columbia, near Calgary. He was a vet there, okay? He took care of, actually, there's big animal vets and small animal vets, and he does it all up there, okay? So he put together a $27 ebook, a downloadable digital ebook on taking care of your cats and dogs. There's a picture of the cover of his book, and he did about, actually, when he first told me the story, and I've gotten to know Andrew a little bit, when he first told me the story, he's told me he was doing $1,000 to $1,500. Then I got to know him a little bit more, and he's like, well, Jeff, I was really doing like $500 to $1,000. And then I got to know him a little more. He's like, really, I was really like sort of doing like $500. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I left $1,000 to $1,500 a month up there. And you know what? That's a lot of money. You can buy pretty much any car you want with that kind of money. You can pay either your mortgage or a big chunk of your mortgage for that kind of money. And remember, this is like an ebook, so it's not much work. But he really wanted to change his life, completely change his lifestyle. He wanted to cut way back on his practice. So he bought Product Launch Formula. Oh, here I graphed out, and this is complete fiction, because I took his $1,000 to $1,500 and I just drew a graph showing hypothetical. So that's complete fiction. It's actually much less than that, but those aren't, I wanted to make a graph for you guys because, they look impressive, don't they? I mean, it's, if I would have been on it, I would have like made a graph of like those 6 months and 6 minutes and 6 years and all. That would have been really cool. But this is a fair representation of what his business was doing. Actually, it was much less, but it's a fair representation of what he told me his business was doing the first time we talked. And so then he bought Product Launch Formula. And one thing, folks, Product Launch Formula cannot buy it. So this isn't a pitch for Product Launch Formula. It's completely off the market. You can't buy it. He bought Product Launch Formula, and then 2 months later, about 6 weeks later, he did a product launch, and he brought in $60,000. So he went from $500 a month to $60,000. Now, I've been up on stage enough to know that I shouldn't do math, especially division, when I'm up here. So I can't tell you how many years of income that 60 grand represents, but it's a lot. I think it might be like 5 years of income. Boom, he did overnight. Then the important thing, and this is what Rich talked about the business launch. The important thing, if you look there, when it dropped back down, what did it drop back down to? It dropped down to $15,000 a month. So he did that big product launch and did that big spike, but a lot of people wonder what comes next after that product launch. And if you do it right, you end up, he grew his business really 30 times on an ongoing basis after that. So let's, oh boy, look, I had more cool slides and I got ahead of myself. So there he did his 60,000 launch and now he's at 15 times. So let's talk about what he got. He got that immediate cash. 60 grand is a lot of money. That's really cool. But I'll tell you what, when you do one of these big launches, we could have taken Rich's launch, his first launch at $3.5 million, and taken that and take the $3.5 million and throw it in the river and say, just watch it drift away, and it wouldn't have mattered, because the momentum you get out of it, the list you get out of it, the partner relationships you get out of it, dwarfs, in the long run, will dwarf what you get in the original launch. And that's why we call it a business launch. So he got the immediate cash monthly continuity income. I'll talk about that in just a second. He doubled the size of his list. Now, we all know that the list is where the gold's at, right? It's actually in the relationship with your list is where the gold is at. And that's part of what this product launch does, is it creates this fantastic relationship with your list. Double the size of his list. All of a sudden, he had all kinds of partners and affiliates that wanted to promote for him. They were coming out of the woodwork. Now, if you've ever tried to get people to promote for you, sometimes it can be a challenge. But if you do one of these launches, it creates so much buzz. I'm going through it right now. I'm getting 5 to 10 to 15 people every day are coming to me because they heard something's in the works. So they're, can we promote? Can we promote? Can we promote? Can we get on your, can we be an affiliate? Can we help sell your stuff? It's amazing how this works. His interaction, this launch is a very interactive process. His interaction with the clients and prospects, he created greater interaction with his lists. And so what that interaction does is, what's the best product to sell? The best product to sell is the product your customers want, right? And the best way to find out is to get them to tell you. And when you get a launch going, you get this conversation going, then they will tell you. That's what the real underlying key here is, interaction and conversation with your market and your prospects, your clients. Keep on pointing in the wrong direction here. So his people have identified the next two products. He's already got launches planned for those next two products. And there's this other thing called stacking, where each launch gets bigger and bigger. And I've given you some examples of that. His next launch is going to be way beyond that initial 60 grand, because he's trained his market to react. And he's also doubled the size of his list, and he's doubled the number of affiliates and partners. Okay, so how did he do it? He created a home study course. He took that ebook and he turned it into a home study course. He did it with by creating video. Now, how difficult is it to create video? You know what? You want to see what I create most of my video with? This is a digital camera, and it can also shoot movies. This is actually the fancier one that I got, and it's maybe $400, but for one of those flip cameras, I think it's like $100 or $150. You can shoot good enough video with that to put on the web. You can also, is everyone familiar with Camtasia? This is one to write down in case you aren't familiar with it. Camtasia, C-A-M-T-A-S-I-A. That is a program, it's almost like a VCR for your computer screen. So if you have anything that's computer-based, you can basically record it while you're speaking about what you're doing. You can do a slideshow, you can do a PowerPoint, you can walk through Excel, you can walk through mind maps, is something I've done. That's what I did with Product Launch Formula. And you're recording that whole thing, and then that can essentially be a product. Camtasia works on Windows. If you're a Mac person, there's a brand new program out this week called ScreenFlow. Screen, S-C-R-E-E-N, Flow, F-L-O-W, all is one word. ScreenFlow is wonderful. So both of those, that's what he did, is he basically took his ebook and he recorded a screen capture video, and he added in some audio stuff, and it went from being $27 to $297. The same basic information presented in a multimedia fashion, he's able to multiply his price by 10x. And because he's doing a launch, it's very easy to get that kind of, you get to raise your prices during a launch almost always. It's very, very key. So he raised his price to $297. He sold just over 200 of them during the launch. So that's your $60,000. The 4 months after that, he sold another 100. So like $30,000, right? Again, it's really dangerous once those lights come on to do math up here. He created a continuity program at $47 a month. 100% of the people that bought his course clicked and said, yeah, put me in that program. Typically what you do is you give them 2 months free. You say, as a bonus, you bought my course as a bonus. you get 2 months, $100 value of this, or $94 value of this $47 a month program that keeps you up to date on everything that's happening, yada, yada. And all of a sudden, you get 100% of those people, 200 people taking $47 a month, and you can see how easy it is to get to 10 grand. I'll let you guys do that math, but it's very, very simple. Now, of course, not all those people stick around, but his retention rate in that program is really good. One of the reasons is he's got a great product, he's very personable, people like him, but he built this great relationship with him throughout the launch. Okay, so my task, this is my mind map. Have you guys seen mind maps before? Anyone not seen mind maps? It's a really cool brainstorming, planning. Rich uses them extensively in his entire life. Rich is actually, what happens is you get this center thing, Jeff Walker product launch system, and then you have all these different ideas. And okay, I'm not expecting you guys to be able to read this. So if you're trying to, sorry about that, but this is basically what my mind map for the original product launch formula looked like. And so at the center is like the big idea, and then you have branches going out and all kinds of different ideas, and you can link them together, and you see there's lines going back and forth. And that was my original planning tool. And Rich has actually got one called Rich's Life. And then that goes off from there, like the business, the personal, and all kinds of stuff. And those personal ones go off to other one, and it gets really big. And so this is my system. So like in 60 minutes here, I'm only going to be able to communicate a small piece, but I'm going to try to do my best to give you the real killer pieces. Basically, actually, I'm going to spend 30 minutes to try to give you the original stuff, and then I've actually got 3 more that I've developed for all the new stuff, 3 ones that each are bigger than this one. So obviously, I got to hammer this stuff, and I'll do as good a job as I can of communicating as much as I can. Okay, so a lot of people want to know what type of product and what type of market. So you can do this. Here's just some of the markets that people have used this stuff for. Just any market you can think of. We have Frank, who I just met for the first time 10 minutes ago, or 10 minutes before I came up on stage. And Frank, we're going to get you a mic in a little bit because I'm going to play without a net and stick a mic in your hand we've just traded a few emails. He actually launched a DVD, the DVD of the movie The Celestine Prophecy, right? And he launched that in Germany. So this is a DVD that's been available in the United States, and it was being released in Germany, but the funny thing is like he didn't have an exclusive on it. It was getting sold through all kinds of different channels, but he still engineered a product launch for it. So we'll give you a mic in a few minutes and get, hopefully, we just want to know a little bit about it. So I'm just trying to make you really nervous right now. Wait until those lights go on. But dating, love letters, test preparation. We had some realtors, baseball coaches, a pop music single in the UK, business coaching in Poland. We've had launches in Venezuela, Spain, the UK, Germany, Mexico, Ecuador, Australia, Canada, just all over Japan, Kuwait, just all over the world. These launches have worked. Regular books, massage therapy, business systems, edible and medicinal plants and herbs. That was an amazing one where John Gallagher went from being on food stamps to 1 year later making $100,000 per year selling a board game about edible and medicinal plants and herbs. So, and actually I'm into that stuff. I'm like into all the herb stuff, and my wife's like way into that stuff. So I'm not, not to make any fun of it, but it's just not exactly the juiciest, when you think I'm going to sit down and make like a big business, it's probably not the first one that comes to mind. No. And now, who in this room has heard of dressage? That shows you exactly how up on this stuff I am. Dressage. Okay, a lot of you guys have. So dressage, not dressage. Dressage is some type of horse training, right? It's you training some type of, I'm not a horse person, so I'm sorry about the dressage bit. Jane, if you see this video out, I'm very sorry. Oh, there's the cameras. Jane, I'm sorry I'm not making fun of you or your niche. I think it's wonderful that you just made $140,000 in the dressage market with a list of 800 people. Because that's what Jane just did a few weeks ago. $140,000 with a list of 800 people. I don't know how you do that. That's insanity. I mean, this is the funny thing is like, how many people have email lists here? Okay, do you guys know what your open rate is? You know, I mean, so like if you send an email to your list, a certain percent of them will never open your email, and a certain percent of them will open your email. And your open rate is what percent of them do. So how many track open rates? Oh, cool. So how many of you have a higher, can we have everyone stand up that tracks open rates? You guys rock. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, because it's one of the best ways to figure out whether you're no, don't sit down, don't sit down. This is how business is done, is knowing whether you're reaching the market, okay? So these guys are tracking. Unless you're tracking, you can't, who knows, okay? So how many of you guys, if your open rate is 5% or less, sit down? Okay, good. Most of you, how many if your open rate is 10% or less, sit down? Okay, more sitting down. You guys are doing really well because 10% is a good open rate. How about 15% if your open rate is less than 15%? You guys are killing it. Yeah. Now, I need you to be truthful with me. How many of you have a 20% open rate? Okay, how about 25%? Is there anyone with like a 35% open rate? You guys rock. You're killing it. Okay, how about 45%? Okay, congratulations, 50%. Well, Jane said, she just writes me an email out of the blue. My product launch formula owners are always sending me emails. I love it. And they're saying, Jeff, I just killed it, Well, Jane wrote, I just did $50,000, like, I don't know, first day or something like that. And it was just like one email. This is great, I love this, it's fantastic. First day, 50 grand or whatever it was. It might have been 40 grand or 30 grand, but it was great. And I wrote back, I'm like, you go, girl, this is awesome. And so we traded emails back and forth throughout the whole week. And at one point I said, let me just confirm this. You just did $100,000 in the first 5 days. This is in the middle of the launch, before she hit the 140K. I was like, you just did 100 grand. Did you say your list is 800 people? And she writes back and says, now remember, 35%, you're killing it with open rate. She writes back and says, yeah, I've got 800 people on my list. But the thing I can't figure out is why only 560 of them are actually opening my emails. And I'm like, she not only hit it out of the park, she hit the ball out of the park in the 7th game of the World Series. It was like her open rate's like, 60, 70%, and she's complaining about it? I mean, it's just fantastic. Jane, congratulations. I'm going to send you this video. I mean, that is amazing. So anyways, I'm getting a little sidetracked. All kinds of markets, all kinds of products, physical products, coaching, services are great, continuity, newsletters, membership sites, physical services, actual widgets, DVDs, physical DVDs. It just goes on and on. So I never saw the movie The Celestine Prophecy. I don't know anything about it at all. It sounds sort of religious to me, but no, it's not. Okay. So The Celestine Prophecy was released in the United States, and then it was released in Germany later. Is that right, the DVD?
Yes. My name is Frank Bienek. I'm from Germany here. And the story goes following. A friend of mine called, and we got the offer for The Celestine Prophecy, for the dubbing, to have the license, and to get it to the German market. We had no list, we had no clue, nothing about the business, no idea. But I owned already the product launch formula. So we started in July last year to do list building just by PPC.
So pay-per-click, so you use some advertising to build a list.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at around November, we had around 11,000 leads at a lead price of about $2. And then we decided to do a survey just to ask them what are they. The story of Celestine Prophecy is, it's a book that's handed from friend to friend, or more than 20 million times worldwide in the last 10 years. And in Germany, there have been 1.5 million sales of the book. So we said it might be an interesting journey to take that venture. And so we did the survey, and out of this 11,000 people, we had 2,000 fully completed surveys with 10 questions.
So 10,000, yeah, I mean, so 20% of people took
Yeah.
the survey. So that's really, really doing well. I mean, that's very great, very good.
Taking this information, we got a sales letter written and we set up the date for the launch. And as we have not been used to sales letter in Germany, we made a split test during the launch, and I used some of Mike Phillips' same tools for that, the link tracking stuff. And so we split up the list. 9 people have been sent to the normal shop front end. 1 person got sent to the sales letter. So during the first hour, we had 800% more conversion on the normal sales letter. So we decided turn over the rest of the list to the sales letter, and we made within the first 24 hours around 2,200 sales. And that's the point. Our infrastructure was not able to take it. People had to be in the waiting list to get in. Outage on the server, shopping cart not working. So it took another 72 hours, and we made another 800 additional sales.
So 3,000 sales.
Yeah.
And what was the price?
24 euros.
20, so almost $50, or actually
Yeah.
more than $50.
Yeah. And it was available 2 days before on the normal bookstores.
It was available 2 days before.
Before the launch.
Okay. So, how do you do something like that? I mean, give me a break. It's like, so you just sold 3,000 of them at 50, let's call it $50, although it was more than $50. So is that $150,000?
Yeah.
Is that right? Like I said, I'm pretty good at math, but this is a bad place to do math. So about $150,000.
Yes.
You spent, it sounds like about $20,000 to create that list.
Yes.
Okay. And, but like this thing, people could go buy it in the bookstore or wherever.
Yes,
but instead,
next to the books.
Instead, they're waiting for you to reopen this thing up and allow them to order it from you.
Yes, we had a fast action bonus. We have made up a special box, and only the first 1,000 people will get that box. And it was engraved with a number in it. So from 1 to 999. And we made a little game of it around Christmas, so the people, when they have time, can play the game. And that made the reaction.
Fantastic. Here we go.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks, Frank. Every time I hear about these that stretch the boundaries, basically I'm teaching people how to create. So I've been telling you what it is. Let's see if I can get to how you do it. Basically, what you're doing is this is where I'm going to try to teach you like my last 10 years of work in like 5 or 6 slides and move as quickly as possible. Basically, what you're doing is you're trying to turn your marketing into an event. You're trying to, I love Christmas. I love Christmas morning. It's just, you're looking forward to it. Your kids are looking forward to it. They just love it. They're counting down the days. And it's just, it's a ritual. There's so much tradition that sets you up for that event. The Super Bowl. How long is there between the conference championships and the Super Bowl? 2 weeks, okay. Did you ever wonder why there's 2 weeks before the Super Bowl when all the other football games there's only 1 week? It's the pre-launch. It's to get them excited about the game. It allows the anticipation to build up before the game. It allows the story to be told. By the end of the 2 weeks, they've interviewed every single player down to the guy who never even gets on the field, right? They're interviewing like the guy who tapes their legs, right? They're interviewing like the cameraman, I mean, they've just interviewed everyone. So it gives time for people to get excited, to get involved, to learn about the story. So what you do is you turn your marketing into an event. Now, Rich, this past summer, he released a big PDF report. I don't remember which one he called that because he's released so many great reports. But it was like the Maven thing, right? What was that one called? You're making the Attention Age Doctrine 2. Okay. Well, he told people about that for like 3 months before it came out. And then when it came out, it's a free report, but people can get it anytime they want. But people were like staying up all night to download that thing. And in the first few hours, he had like tens of thousands of downloads. And it was because he spent so much time telling people about it and building up and telling why it was going to be the coolest thing in the world. And all that was all for this free report. He worked them into a lather. It was crazy. Then he used the momentum coming out of that report to then release. I'm giving all his secrets away, but he built people up into this free report. They got so much anticipation, and there's this tension's rising. All of a sudden, he gives them the report. It's the tension's easing off, but then bingo, he's instantly into the launch of his home study course and building that tension up. You look at the way like horror movies do it, and I'm not the biggest fan of horror movies, but it's like you know something's gonna, the bad guys or the bad creatures like right around the back of that curtain, okay? And Jeff's walking along on stage, getting closer and closer to that bad thing that's about to jump out. And then I'm like, but no, that's right, I had something over here. No, I think I will go. And the tension's going up and down and up and down. And finally, I do walk around that corner and nothing happens, right? And then you go, And then like 5 seconds later, the thing jumps from around the other corner. And so it's like that, you tell a story with your launch. This is the timeline. Here's tension. And as you're going along, the tension's building up. Just like in any story, in any novel, or any movie, that tension's building up. And then you usually have a few little jags. And then right on launch day, you give them the opportunity to all of a sudden to buy your product, and that's where the tension release is. This is very, very powerful. Stories are the most incredible way to communicate with people, and you're basically turning your product release, or your business release, your launch, into a story. How do you do that? Well, that's all about turning into an event, but you do it by creating sequences. We've all visited long sales letters on websites, right? Where you hit that page, and you see that little scroll bar over on the side, and it starts like that, and it starts getting like this, and all of a sudden you got like a 70-page sales letter loaded. And, if you guys, you probably read every word on those sales letters, right? No, right? Well, none of us ever read any of those sales letters, right? But you're trying to sell your products through sales letters, right? Do you think, now your people are different, right? Right, the people hitting your site, they're different. They read the entire thing, right? Right? No, they don't. They're not reading any of it. They'll see the headline, might read half the headline, they'll skip down to the bottom and look how much it costs, right? Right. Anyone different? Anyone have a different experience? You think your people are different? No, they aren't. So what you do, what if you took that big long sales letter that's this long that no one reads, and turned it sideways and made this your timeline? And start off with your headline at the beginning, 2 or 3 weeks before you even start to talk about selling a product. Now you've got them hooked into your stuff, because it's not, boy, it's funny. I love copy. I really love writing copy. I'm pretty good at it. But right now, I can't even think of one of the most... What's a really classic headline that makes you groan when you see it? They laughed, right? They laughed when I sat down at the piano. Okay, so if you took that, and instead of saying in big red print, they laughed when I sat down at the piano, if you started 3 or 4 weeks out and you said, I've never been... Actually, I'm going to turn it to guitar instead of piano. I've never been a musician at all. And in fact, I thought at my age, there's just no way I could ever learn to play an instrument because I've never played anything. And I did actually try to play the trumpet back in 4th grade, but I made it 1 week and then I quit because it was so frustrating. So I just always thought being a musician was some magical skill that people were just born with. And, but for some pretty weird reasons, I actually picked up a guitar and started trying to play it. This is about 3 or 4 months ago I picked up the guitar and started trying to play it. And it was sort of frustrating. My fingers got really sore. But then I actually stumbled onto this one little thing because over my life I've actually learned how to teach myself really quickly. And I thought I'd try applying that. It's normally like with business stuff I've been able to teach myself quickly. But you know what? I thought maybe I'll just try all this like secret thing that I learned. And I thought I'd try it on myself with guitar. I thought I'd trick myself into learning to play guitar. I thought, there's no chance it's ever going to work, right? Well, lo and behold, like 4 weeks later, I knew like 6 songs. It was incredible. And I'm still no virtuoso. I'm still just like you. It still comes slowly, but all of a sudden I can see measurable progress where I'm picking up a new song like every 2 days. Now, I decided that it was just a little silly for me to be sitting in my basement and working on these songs and getting better without sharing it with anyone. So I think what I've decided to do is I actually, it's really hokey because I got this silly little camera and I don't even have a tripod. I had to stick it up on a bunch of books. Whoa. I actually had to set it up on top of a bunch of books and reach over and press the recording button so there's not even like a cameraman and the sound's not that great, but I realized I've learned a way to not just teach myself and trick myself into all of a sudden learning songs, but I think I can help you trick yourself into learning to play these songs. So what I'm going to do over the next few weeks is I'm going to release some of these videos to you. And so just opt in on this page. If you look around, there's like a subscription box, and go ahead and put your name and address in there. And I'll send you out these videos as soon as I got the first one done already, so I'll send you that right away, but over the next few weeks, I'll keep on sending you a few more. Did that sound compelling at all if you were interested in playing guitar? Do you see how that might be more believable and authentic and interesting than hitting a long-form sales letter that says they laughed when I tried to play guitar? Right? I mean, did that work at all? Do you think? I mean, do you think I could get people to opt in with, I don't, actually, I am trying to learn to play guitar, and I'm absolutely pathetic, and I haven't learned how to trick myself into that. But if I had, hypothetically speaking, do you think I could get people to opt in on that page? And do you think if I gave them that first video and it actually had a sort of cool trick, and then a week later I gave them another video and they had a sort of cool trick, and then I said, hey folks, I'm getting lots of great feedback on this is incredible. I think people really want a ton more of this. They want to learn how to play all these songs. They want the next Super Ninja 2000 annihilation method that I just picked up you can teach yourself to play a song in like 4 seconds. I think I'm going to do that, but frankly, I'm going to have to get a better camera for that, and I'm probably going to have to pay my brother-in-law to film it, and it's probably going to be long enough where I'm going to have to put it on a DVD. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put together one of those fancy DVD things. Actually, it's not going to be fancy because you can see how I do things, but it is going to have my super secret sauce where you can trick yourself into learning to play guitar, and I think I'm going to be releasing that, as soon as I figure out, this is all real complicated stuff, but as soon as I figure it out, I'm going to release that. And if you're interested, if you think you might be interested, could you go fill out this survey, or could you go fill out this form and tell me what I really should concentrate on teaching you? And then you think people would go fill something like that out? Yeah. Now, I mean, this is all hypothetical because, like I said, I can't play guitar. But I mean, every one of you has something to share with the world, right? Where you really do know that secret sauce, right? And if you took that what I just spoke, and you put whatever you want in there instead of guitar, in the annihilation method Super Ninja 2000, you could do the same thing. In the last couple of days, I just did a workshop there's about 20 or 30 of us in there, where I basically showed them how to spin those stories. And when I say spin those stories, I don't want it to have a negative connotation, because you're basically telling your story. And the more authentic you can be and the more truthful you are in that story, the more powerful you are. In fact, Frank Kern this afternoon is going to be talking exactly about that. If you're not completely in alignment with your story, you're not going to be able to tell it in a convincing fashion. But these guys, can I have the people that stood up, the people in the workshop for the last couple of days stand up? Now you guys, so what I just spoke there about learning guitar, We went through and workshopped, hot-seated pretty much every one of their businesses. And do you think, now, is that story I just heard about, you heard from me about, was that similar to, did you hear any of that stuff, similar stories? I basically took that same story and I gave it to every single one of these guys for their business. And I invite you to ask these guys, because you might be thinking, well, Jeff's up there speaking just like a weirdo, just nonsense stuff. What's this super ninja annihilation guitar stuff? Ask these guys, thanks a lot, you can sit down, ask them how they saw how you can apply this to any business. We had people that were talking about, picking up women with business here. We had people that were doing business consultation. We had people that were doing adventure travel over in Hungary. We had people that were teaching pastors how to convert more of their first-time visitors to members of the church. And these type of stories and this way of getting people involved works for every single one of those. And they're going to go home. They've already got their story thing planned out. So I am really, really, really far behind on this thing. But is this getting through to you? Does that just sound like left field, like you couldn't do something like that? Take that headline and put it at the beginning and make a promise and then deliver some free, good content along the way. And then all of a sudden, what you do is you're building them up. You're indoctrinating them. I was just spent a couple days with Frank Kern. He uses all these evil-sounding words to make it sound cool, indoctrinating. But you get people sucked into your marketing, and you're telling them that story, and you're going through, and you're giving them free stuff, and they're liking you. And then all of a sudden, what could possibly be like an objection to learning to play guitar? Well, I'll tell your right hand, you're not quick enough. Your left hand, you don't have good rhythm. You can't read music. You can't tune your guitar. That's a big one. You can't tune your guitar. So what you do is remember how I'd send them to the survey to ask about this stuff, right? So when they go to that survey and they're telling you what they want to learn, and so say they're going through this survey, which is all real free and easy. Just do it at surveymonkey.com. That's a free service, surveymonkey.com. You send them there, they take the survey, and it's like, what do you really need to learn about playing guitars? Basically what you ask them. If you could sit down with me, the guy who just went from not being able to play guitar to being able to play 6 songs in 4 weeks, I'm a beginner just like you are, but I just figured out this super secret annihilation method to trick myself into playing guitar. If you could sit down with me and have a beer with me or have a coffee with me or go out to lunch with me, what would be the first thing you'd want to ask me about this? And so say 20% of the people said, well, that sounds really cool, but I really want to know how to tune my guitar. So what's your next video about then? Okay, but what is that? What is that when they're telling you they want to learn? What they're doing is it's an objection. They're telling you what their objection, when you go down the road to sell this thing, their questions are really objections. So, okay, that's an objection, is learn how to play guitar. Learn how to tune your guitar. So what's your next video about? It's a video that shows exactly how easy it is to tune the guitar, okay? And now say it was actually like rhythm with your right hand in the guitar, right? And so that was another one. They said, I could play, but my rhythm is completely off with my right hand. So then the next video would be, a lot of people are really wondering about their right hand and getting the rhythm right on the guitar. And it's sort of interesting because that was one of the first things I had to trick myself about. But the deal is I showed this to 3 friends of mine, and literally within 37 seconds, they all fixed their rhythm instantly. And it's really cool. In fact, that's what I actually just filmed the session on that's going to go on my course on getting your right hand rhythm nailed down. And it's really cool. In fact, I actually filmed these guys, me teaching these guys, and how they got those instant results. And I'm exaggerating all this to be funny, to try to be funny. But so don't let that cloud what you're looking at. This stuff works, and it works really, really well. In fact, it's sort of like that Spider-Man thing. With great power comes great responsibility. Because this stuff, you're going to be able to sell tons of your stuff using these launch techniques. And you really, like I said, it has to be a good product and it has to be done ethically. and there's several reasons for that, because it's the right thing to do, but more importantly, like if you have a lousy product, or maybe not more importantly, but another reason, if you have a lousy product and you get like 3,000 people to buy that DVD, and it's a bad DVD, what did you just do? You just like committed business suicide. So you're going to be able to put this stuff in a lot of people's hands, but remember that first launch is just the first launch. You're setting up a business to go on. So this is the quickest way to put yourself out of business if you got a really lousy product. Now, I'm quite a pitch man, right? Telling you this is the best way to put yourself out of business. Okay, how many people have heard of social proof? How many people haven't heard of social proof? Okay, there's just a few of you. So social proof is the idea if we see everyone else doing something, then we're going to do it too, no matter how silly it is. If your mother said to go, if all your friends were jumping off the bridge, would you go jump off the bridge too? Well, the reality is, yeah, we would. I mean, it is, it's the way life works. It's like, I could give you one quick example. You walk, flying to a strange airport, you're walking off the plane, there's 50 people in front of you, those other 50 people all rock off and then they turn that way, and you walk off the plane. Do you walk off, stop here and look for the baggage claim sign? No. What you do is you just follow the other 50 people, If they're all going to the bathroom, you just walk right into the bathroom. That's what we do. We follow other people. It's not a silly thing. It's what our brains, this is something that's inherent in us, and it's been there for thousands of years, and it's because we have too many decisions to make as we move throughout our lives. Way too many, like where am I going to put my next step? How am I going to go down these stairs? I don't think about going down the stairs. There's all kinds of decisions we make unconsciously. And so one way we can short circuit the process and give our brain a break so we don't have to make those like 10 billion decisions every minute is just to follow what other people do. It's survival. That's what allowed us to survive, was using social proof. Scarcity, if there's fewer of something, we'll want it more, and we'll crawl over broken glass to get it. It's just, if you reflect, I'm going to move quickly, but if you reflect on that, that's true. The iPhone, they released it, it's a darn cell phone. Why did that go so ballistic in the first few days? One of the reasons is because each store only had so many, right? Community, it's really, online we can create communities literally overnight. It's easy to join a community, it's hard to leave a community once you become engaged. So if you can engage people, you can actually engage them in your launch. If you have them, Rich does this, he has people, sending people to the blog and they're making hundreds of blog comments and then they start talking back and forth on the blog. They become a de facto community. And then people act the way they think their community is supposed to act. That's why we all have manicured, or a lot of us have manicured lawns, because your neighbors have nice lawns, right? And you gotta act like they act, and because that's how the people in your neighborhood act. They have nice lawns. You live in a nice neighborhood, and you're gonna get torqued off if they don't have a nice lawn, so they're gonna feel the same way about you. So you keep, you cut your grass, you're putting fertilizer on. There's so many of these, it's amazing. And if you can create the expectation in your community that they would do something like, say, buy your stuff, then they're going to buy your stuff. The mental triggers, these never change. Social proof, reciprocity. If someone gives you something, you want to give them something back. Rich gives you free reports, gives you these fantastic free reports, then you want to give them something back, like your money. It's a very, very what's the worst feeling in the world? It's like Christmas afternoon. Someone knocks on your door, you go there's your neighbor. Okay, your neighbor has a gift for you, and you're just thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have a gift for them. Is that like you feel like a total loser, right? We've all been there. The way you activate these triggers is always changing. So the triggers never change, but the way you activate them is always evolving. We used to hit it via email. When I did my first launch, I didn't even have a website. Then we could hit them via web pages. Then we could add audio to our web pages. Then we could add video to our web pages. Then we have blogs. Those are great for hitting like social proof and scarcity triggers, commitment, consistency triggers, authority triggers. Now we added Web 2.0. We've got Facebook. We've got Twitter. we've got YouTube, we've got MySpace. Just more interaction, more ways to use these triggers. And really in this Web 2.0 world, everything is so interlinked. It's really, really powerful. This is one of the places where I've really added the most to Product Launch Formula 2.0, is adding in these, the Web 2.0 components. So now that was my really, actually, you know what? You guys okay with, how about you up for creating some, has anything struck a trigger yet? You guys gotten any aha moments? Have you written anything down yet? Cool. I'm going to create some pre-launch content because I'm going to be going into pre-launch on Product Launch Formula 2.0 real soon. Can you guys create that with me? Okay. So this is the deal. Probably tomorrow, maybe the next day, your inbox is going to be absolutely inundated. Actually, I might just shoot this whole thing. Let me think. No. So your inboxes seriously are going to get inundated. There's going to be a lot of people mailing them. Anyone heard of something called mass control? Anyone not heard of mass control? Okay. So mass control was put together by my very good friend, Frank Kern. Frank's going to be talking this afternoon, and you'd be crazy not to see him speak. He's a very funny guy, and he's got great insights. He also has a potty mouth when you compare him to me, but he makes it all, it's all very, very funny, and I can't be a potty mouth because my parents are here. Stuff never changes. So, in any case, mass control, let's take you back. Okay, everyone in the room's heard of mass control, basically. 2 months ago, had anyone ever heard of mass control? No. That's the power of Product Launch Formula. All of a sudden, everyone in the world was talking about mass control. Well, if I succeed with my nefarious plan, everyone in the world is going to be talking about Product Launch Formula 2.0 in another couple weeks, and it's all going to start tomorrow or the next day. Because I've got lots and lots of partners who are lined up to mail. Millions and millions of emails are going to go forward. There's going to be blog posts, there's going to be video, there's going to be audio, there's going to be Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, all the Web 2.0 elements. It's going to be, hopefully it's going to be mass chaos where people are just dying, crawling all over themselves to get on board with Product Launch Formula 2.0. Because if you think about it, I'm doing a product launch, right? And I'm doing a product launch for a course that teaches people how to do product launches. Do you suppose it's important that I do a pretty good job? You know? So I've got 2 pieces of pre-launch content to give. Right now, I'm going to have a whole bunch. I'm going to give out so much content that I think people will be able to do great launches just with the free stuff. And then they're all going to say, boy, he gave me so much free stuff, I can't imagine what he's going to give me if I pay him. That's the whole idea. You know, and then I'm going to deliver. They're going to get an incredible amount. So I have 2 pieces of pre-launch content that I already developed. And one of them tells the story. It basically starts off, hi, I'm Jeff Walker. I created Product Launch Formula. You know, maybe you heard about Mass Control or Stomper Smarts in the last month, and those were huge launches, and they each made multiple millions of dollars. But let's forget about the product launch hype. I want to talk about the regular guy launches. The regular guys like... And then I talk about John Gallagher, who went from food stamps to 6 figures. And I talk about Jane Savoy with the dressage market. And I talk about a few other crazy ones. So, and then I'm like, and if you opt in on this page, you can get my product launch blueprint. You can get the full-length case studies of John Gallagher and so. And opt in now. It's about a 15-minute video. So I'm going to ask for a poll. That's number 1. Forget about the pre-launch hype. Here's these regular guys that are doing it. Join my list and get great stuff. That's choice number 1. And I'm going to ask you which is a better choice. So I'm sincerely interested. That's choice 1. Choice 2, I went out and I spent several days out in La Jolla with Frank Kern, talking about Frank Kern and then Eben Pagan. A lot of you guys probably have heard of Eben Pagan, who is a fantastic marketer, business leader. And the 3 of us sat, and what we wanted to do was create pre-launch content, which a lot of times the pre-launch content is useful but incomplete because then people want to buy your stuff because you got them hooked. And we sat down, and for 75 minutes we just shot video of us talking about launches and how impactful they are and how they change businesses and change lives. And basically we screwed up. And God's honest truth, we meant to do the useful but incomplete, but what we ended up doing is 75 minutes of pure, unadulterated content, like really in-depth, deep content. And I thought, this could go in the course, but there's no hook that gets them interested in the next thing. And so that's a piece of content too. So we've got the one is, are you guys following me here? So, okay, so the one is you already know what one is. It's the little regular guy launches. And the two is like, what can I do with this? Because just to send out 75, and this is important stuff. Just to take in your pre-launch and give them 75 minutes of content that's just killer content but floating in space with not leading to anything and not set up, that's not good pre-launch content. You want something that's part of the overall story. So I thought, okay, this is what I could do. This is actually Frank's idea, Frank Kern, because we talk about back and forth about this stuff all the time. And he's like, dude, this is what you do. You shoot a little rough video like at the event and say, hey guys, I totally screwed up. In fact, I'm a little bit worried that they're going to kick me out of the Guru Club now because I went out to California to shoot this video with Frank and Eben, and we were going to, deliver some useful but incomplete information, and sort of as part of the hook to get you to opt in, but we just totally hosed it up, and we ended up with 75 minutes of just pure, unadulterated content, given some of the innermost, behind-the-scenes details on this stuff. And I didn't know what to do with this video, but I spent 3 days going out to California to shoot it, so I figured, what the heck, I'm just going to let everyone look at the thing, but I don't want to just let it out in the general public because the download cost it will cost thousands of dollars. So all I do, just to control who gets access to this, I just ask you to opt in here, and then you'll get the full 75 minutes. So choice one is the regular guys, and choice two is Jeff screwed up, but I'm just going to give you all this stuff anyway, so just opt in. So I want to know, which do you guys think is the most compelling thing for me to come out with right off the bat? Is it choice one? Really? Raise your hands high if choice one, regular guys, and man. Choice two? I'm shooting for the maximum number of people to opt in. Okay, no, that's fine. It's funny because I think the first one's the better one. I really do. And, well, exactly. Everyone is going to get both. But which one do I lead off with is the question. So thanks a lot. I mean, this isn't, as you pointed out, this isn't an average crowd. And you always have to judge by, who you're going for total overall. Because I think that people are sick of hearing about $1 million launches. That's why I told you about Andrew Jones and Jane Savoy, because I think I lose people when I start talking about $1 million launches. So now you guys have to work with me. So I'll try to give you a little signal, and that's when you got to stand up and give me a standing ovation. Okay? Are you cool with that? Are we cool? Okay. But we have to keep it quiet, and I always choke up when I'm on camera, and then now I'm on camera 2 times, and my parents are sitting there. So this is really scary. But this is how sophisticated I am when it comes to video. And this stuff, you never can, like I've released a lot of case studies as video, and the thing is people never, ever, ever confuse my stuff with infomercials. Because if you've seen any of my video, it's like, me holding the camera out like this and shooting. It's just, it doesn't look like an infomercial, but you don't have, looking polished is not generally the answer to selling stuff. Unless you're like selling like design services, graphic arts, that type of stuff, it's usually, people want to connect with people. They don't want to connect with super glossy. You don't connect with an infomercial, right? But people connect with my video. When they meet me, it's like, oh, Jeff, I feel like I've known you. From your emails and from your video, I just feel like I know you. And they do. They know I can't play guitar. They know I've been trying to play guitar and I can't play guitar. They know I live out in the mountains. They know I like to go whitewater rafting. They know I like mountain biking. They know all these things about me. because people get engaged with people, not with companies, not with images, not with logos. So it's okay to, I don't want to say be amateurish, but you want to be real. And my video shot with a little Digicam has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars because I'm shooting and like my lens cap will fly up. That's why the first video case study I did, I'm like, oh, Jeff Walker, I'm here with Randy Pryor, and Randy just did a $30,000 launch about crochet, and I'm here to talk to Randy, and I pan to him, and the lens cap flips up in front of the lens. And then Randy, who's a joker, he's like, oh, real professional, Jeff, and he reaches over, this is all on film, reaches over and flips, it's a good job with that lens cap, and flips it up, and the lens cap flips back up again, and I'm like, oh, man, and all this is on camera, and then we talk about his story. Well, does anyone make that kind of stuff up? I mean, I'm not clever enough to make that kind of stuff up. And it looks real because it is real, okay? And that's how you connect. Forget being ultra professional. Don't send emails that say we. We decided we had the Super Ninja 2000 way to trick yourself to play guitar, so we sat down and created this. Some people do that. They try to make their business sound big and professional. People buy from I and from me and from you. They don't buy from we. And if you don't do anything else but go through all your emails and take out we every place it is, then you're a winner, okay? In that workshop, remember your stuff's always written about your people. It's written to them, to one person, not to a ton of people. You all isn't cool. In very rare circumstances you can, but in general, you're writing to one person. Get a picture of your typical prospect and put it like over your computer monitor, and you write to that person. It's a one-to-one relationship, even if you're sending out to 40,000 people. Okay, so, sorry, I got sidebarred on that. We got to shoot some video, and like I said, this is double camera stuff, so I'm really nervous. So I'll give you that little signal. Are you good? What's that signal mean? Stand up and give me a raving, yeah. But don't go over the top, So, no, just do whatever you want. I don't care. Oh. Hey folks, this is Jeff Walker. I'm down in Florida. I'm actually at Rich Sheffrin's latest huge event, and I'm having a blast. It's a fantastic event. And what I did was, I've got this fantastic video to give you, and it's 75 minutes of me and Frank Kern and Eben Pagan, and we screwed up. Basically, it's 75 minutes of pure content. I thought, you see that? That's really cool. Can you see that screen back there? That's something else. That's real time. I thought this was going to be cool to release as pre-launch content, but what ended up happening is these guys told me that I should release this entire video. Instead of giving you basically partial video, giving you just 15 minutes of the good stuff, these guys thought I should give you the entire thing, and that would be the best way to hook you into possibly buying my stuff. So what I've done is I just want you to opt in on this page. And if you opt in, I'm sitting there talking to you. I'm also talking to these people out here. As you can see, there's tons and tons of people here. And they convinced me to just let you see the entire thing. The only thing I'm going to ask is that you go ahead and opt in on this page, because I would go absolutely broke if everyone in the world could download this. So I'm going to ask just for the people to opt in. So if you go ahead and opt in on this page, you're going to get 75 minutes of pure content. This is stuff I could sell for $100, $200, $300, $400 probably, because it's myself, Eben Pagan, and Frank Kern, my good friend Frank Kern, talking about product launches, some of the greatest, biggest product launches lately. I know you're sick of hearing about the $1 million launches, but the fact is you can learn a lot. And there's been about $9 or $10 million in launches just in the last 30 days. So this is what these guys said when I told them. So they told me I had to give you the whole thing. So I'm going to do that, but you just do have to opt in on this page, and I'm going to send you, 75 minutes of pure content. That was, you guys did great. I did awful. I mean, I just was stumbling. Also, a few times I was looking down to see my feet where I was at, and that's probably not going to play out good on the video, but actually what could be fun is I'll get the video from here, so I'll mix the two of them together, and I also only meant to do like 1 revolution. I ended up doing 3. So you're seeing real-time product. I mean, that really, it might be lousy. I might not use it, but this is real. I mean, I really planned on, I didn't know what I was going to do. So you guys really changed my mind on what I'm going to do. It still might end up being the second piece because we're pretty far down the road towards the regular guy stuff being the first piece. But I'll release that, and this very well, could be the setup. Okay, so let's get to some of the, remember I showed you that first mind map? This is just the stuff I want to add, and don't put your glasses on because you're not going to be able to read it. It's like, if I could, I mean, because what happens is, you see all those on the right side, each one of those blows out as big as like this one further down. And there's 3 of these mind maps, okay, that are just the new stuff I've learned. So here's some of the stuff. The next $100 million. Launches keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. 10 million is the new million. The $1,600 was cool when I did it. I eventually worked that up to, in that business, $106,000 in a single week. I went and I told Frank Kern and John Reese about that when I first met them, and they were like, oh my gosh, $100,000, that's amazing. That's, they were doing great things, but they couldn't believe the $100,000 in a single week. A couple of months later, or a year later, they were doing $1 million launches. $1 million, well, $1 million in a single day, that seemed impressive at the time. That was a joke. It's still impressive. So the launches keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You don't have to hit $1 million in your first launch. You can hit $1,400, you can hit $10,000, you can hit $20,000, $30,000. That's really, really cool, and that's probably going to be more impactful than when you do hit that $1 million launch. But the launches do keep on getting bigger and bigger. There is more competition, especially in certain markets. Like if you want to sell how to make money stuff online, how to make money online stuff, to do a launch there is harder because there is more competition. You really have to work hard. You really have to be different. You really have to differentiate yourself. But if you're in a niche, like most of us are, outside of that how to make money online stuff, it's still pretty much wide open. It's easy. I mean, there's a few markets that they keep on doing it over and over again, is like that learn guitar market. Like a couple of those guys did buy my product, and they did some great launches, and now they're just knocking it out of the park. They went from $8,000 launches to $100,000 launches in that market, and they're starting to create more competition. The trading Forex and trading futures, more competition is starting to develop there. But in almost every other market, it's just wide open. The real competition these days, if you do this stuff, selling your stuff is easy. It is easy. If you take this material, put together a product launch, selling is like one of the last thing you have to worry about. I mean, this is hard to believe, but it's true. The tougher thing is making sure you get paid. Like you crunch like $100,000 into your merchant account. Like say you're ticking along doing $2,000 a month and then crunch $100,000 into your merchant account. That can be an issue. And so getting paid is an issue. And I don't have time to go into how to fix that one, but it is fixable. That shouldn't stop you. But then if you want partners to promote your stuff, it's the competition to get partners to promote for you is where the real competition is these days. And what you end up doing is you do a product launch on those partners. You get them you do all the same triggers, the anticipation, the social proof, the authority, the reciprocity, and you get those guys so amped up, and you turn into a sequence. It isn't just one email that says, please promote me. It's a sequence of emails that first tickles them about something coming, gets them excited, tell them why this is a great launch, it's going to make money for them. Then maybe you drop on that there's going to be a contest. Whoever sells the most gets this cool prize. You turn that into an entire sequence. You start messaging them weeks ahead of time. That's how you win partners. And this stuff works like gangbusters. It's just amazing. The reality is anyone who would possibly be a partner for you, they have even less time and attention to give than your prospects because they're business people. And we all know if you have a business, you never have time, right? You need great pre-launch content. There's a huge emphasis on proof. I have a saying, no proof, no launch. That's why this regular guy thing is going to lead off telling them about these regular guys, and then if they opt in, then they're going to get the full-length case studies, hour-long case studies with these regular guys that hit it out of the park with their launch. That's what my pre-launch is going to be. It's just going to be overwhelming proof, one thing after another, after another, after another, showing how this stuff works. And it works in every market, in every situation. Now, every market every type of product in all kinds of situations. I'm just going to give overwhelming proof. It's like just pile on more and more and more proof until you just, okay, Jeff, I give up. Stop sending me that stuff. You've proven it to me. Let me buy. You need a launch team if you're going to go really big. If you just want to do like 20,000, 100,000, even $500,000, you can do that without a launch team. But if you're going to get into the millions and the multiple millions, you start to need a launch team. And the launch team, you need someone running partners for you, coordinating with partners. You're going to need graphics people. You're going to need tech people. Often they can be one or two people. I mean, you can pull off even a multi-million-dollar launch with a team of, say, 2 or 3 people. You get up into the $10 million launches and you need a bigger team. So that first, 0 to 500, 600,000, no problem. You can actually pull it off yourself. Beyond that, you start to need a team. You need a crushing offer. It often comes down to really having the right offer. And the offer is all, the easiest way to get the offer right is communication with your prospects. It's the surveys. I already showed you how I would do a survey with the guitar stuff. It's the blog comments. I'm impossible to get on the phone. I am impossible. My phone doesn't ring in my office. I don't give out my cell number because, well, frankly, I have to, otherwise I get nothing done because there's such a crush of people that want me to manage these launches because I only manage like 2, 3, maybe 4 launches a year. The worst launch I've done in the last year did 1.6 million. So people see those numbers and they really want me to manage it. And my brother John is my partner in that part of the business where we're managing these launches, and his job is just to screen people and keep them away from me. And I hate to say it, but that's what it's come down to. And I am very approachable here, and I love talking to people, but it's tough to actually nail me down and talk to me at 5 minutes alone, 10 minutes alone, talk to me on the phone. It doesn't happen, and I don't even know how I started talking about this stuff. But this is it. In terms of listening to my prospects, the one time you really can get me on the phone is the few days before a launch. I'll actually take the phone off forward, and I'll start picking up the phone just to tap into what's going on. So I'll do, that, it's a long way of telling you that as you get into the launch, you really want to be interacting with your people, with your prospects. Okay. Prospects are jaded, so you have to educate them, teach them, and you have to entertain them. Entertainment, people, they don't want to be sold to, so we have what we call the covert launch. We sneak up with them, just how I illustrated with that guitar bit. It's just a story of how I'm totally inept and how I made this discovery. And then about 3 weeks later, all of a sudden they realize there's going to be something is going to be available that they'll be able to buy. So you engage them in the story and get them totally engaged with you and your communications before you even think about selling them. I talked about competing for partners, and so the launch really is a conversation. I've talked about this over and over. You're listening to them, you're responding to them, they're telling you where to go next with the launch. Just like I started a conversation with you guys, asking you about what I should do next. I want to know, I'm desperate to know what the people are thinking right now. I'm asking everyone. You have to be authentic. You have to speak from an authentic place. This is incredibly important. Frank's going to spend like 90 minutes talking about this afternoon, so I'm not even going to worry about that. I talked about gathering the objections and answering the objections. We talked about that with the guitar bit. And remember this, no proof, no launch. A lot of times it's tough to come up with proof if it's a brand new product. So do a limited pre-launch, do a limited internal launch just to like some of your closest, tightest customers and prospects. Do a launch with them when the bright shining lights of all your JV partners aren't on you. Put 20 or 30 or 100 or 200 people into some type of a program. Get those, and then work with them, make sure they're successful, and then you've got proof to take to the greater world. So start with this inner circle of people that have worked with you in the past, even if you have to give them something, even if you're not selling to them. Get them engaged, and then you're going to find out what you need to cover, what's wrong with the product. You'll learn how to teach it. And you'll create raving fans, and even even if you only have 10 raving fans, that's enough. I mean, Frank Kern with Mass Control, he did this. He had a closed program with maybe, I don't know, I'm going to guess 30 people in it or 50 people. And of those people, like 4 or 5 or 10 of them became raging success stories. And then he was able to base his whole Mass Control launch on just sharing that inner circle and their successes. Does that make sense? This is very, very copy intensive, but you can reuse this copy over and over. I mean, I've done this, I've used the same copy basically the same copy that I used to sell business building systems, I used for a launch with how to write love letters. I mean, you can basically use the same copy. The people in my workshop saw how the story I just spun about guitars, which I just completely made that up while I was up here. We use basically the same story to sell self-help stuff or to sell adventure travel stuff. You can recycle this copy. And it's the copy leading up to the launch. It's not the sales letter. You don't have to get the sales letter right. You can screw up the sales letter because the last time we did a launch, the first time we pull up the shopping cart, like 60 to 90 seconds after we went live, we had $240,000 in orders, about 90 seconds into the launch. We had the 40-page sales letter, and I don't care who you are, but you can't read a 40-page sales letter and fill out your information in 90 seconds. We obviously had them sold. We could have sent them to a blank page with a button that says order now, and we would have done just fine. Timing, I'm sorry, I'm like pretty substantially over time, so I'm going to have to crank through some of these. I can't tell you about the disasters. There have been a few of them, but this is what I want to leave you with. Rich started with this. He told you this. The ultimate profit enhancer is a real strategic and tactical plan for the marketing and execution of your product launch. It will give you instant momentum, instant cash flow, instant mojo. That's why, it's funny, I was just driving around, went out to dinner a couple nights ago, like with Frank Kern and John Reese. And, we're getting in the car, and we were talking about my upcoming launch. And I was like, and Frank's like, oh, that product launch stuff, that doesn't work at all. And then we all just started laughing. Because there's some people out there that think product launches are overdone. They think they're dead. Mike Filsaime put out this report that talked about the death of internet marketing. Well, we know internet marketing is not dead. It was a little tongue-in-cheek. There's a thing in there about the product launch overdose. So some people thought this stuff stopped working. And well, I'll tell you what, about a year ago, there was what was considered one of those disasters where the product launch didn't work, okay? They only made $600,000 in a week. That was a failure, okay? Anyone out here want a $600,000 failure? Does that work for you guys? I mean, the power, the dollars are insane. I told you how I started. It was very humble. Very, very humble start. But I never could have dreamed where this stuff has gone. The idea of being up on stage is just crazy to me. The idea of having a 12-foot me over here is just crazy to me. I mean, we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We're literally doing $1 million in hours, and even little niches doing tens of thousands of dollars in the dressage market in just $140,000 in a week. This is crazy. So we're just starting there, and the best thing you can do is put together one of these launches. Now, I hope I've given you stuff to get started. I've also published all kinds of stuff free online that you can get. Just if you look at my case, Ryan Wade, Ryan, stand up. This guy, so one of my nefarious tricks, make sure you notice who this guy is. He's going places in a big way. He's just got out of college, went to Texas A&M. Ryan, okay, I hope they all saw you. Ryan, last time I was at this Strategic Profits event, he came up to me and he said, I just watched all your free videos online where you were interviewing people that did product launches. I never bought your product. I'm sorry about that, Jeff. I just watched your free stuff. And from watching your free stuff, I did a product launch that did, how much? That first one? $13,000 in a product launch with a tiny little list just from watching my free stuff. So, like I said, this is the ultimate profit enhancer. There's lots of PLF owners out here. Ask them about it, ask about their experience, and get them to help you. Because this is the ultimate profit enhancer, and you need to do it. You look at all of what the gurus are doing, and they're all doing it for one reason, because it works. And again, I don't have anything to sell you. The product's off the market. So Product Launch Formula is 2.0 is coming soon. If you guys, we'll figure out something special to do for you guys. I don't know what it will be. We'll certainly let you in on the inside of what's happening with the pre-launch. If you give John, he'll be like at the back of the room collecting business cards, or hand me a business card. And I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll hook you up in one fashion or another. And that's it. I hope I convinced you guys that this stuff works. It works in your business, and you can absolutely kill it if you get even 20% of this stuff right. My name's Jeff Walker, and thanks for being a great audience. See ya.